Hello and welcome to another episode of MacStories Unwind. I'm John Voorhees, and with me is Federico Vitici. Hey, Federico.
Hello, John. How are you?
Doing very well. We should remind everybody that we are going into our best of season. We're going to do our best of movies and TV, best of music, and best of video games. And where should we start with that, Federico? I was thinking we would start with movies and TV next week. What do you think?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All
and
right.
obviously,
We got a lot
I don't watch movies, so I'll do TV.
Might do TV. I mean, you'd watched a fair amount of TV this year.
Yes.
I think we both did. And I had a handful of movies. So we'll start with that. I think I'm a little thin on music this year, but we'll see. I'll come up with something. I need a little time to think about that because I haven't been as organized at writing that stuff down and kind of keeping track of what I've listened to this year. But it's easy enough to go back through my library and see what I added in 2025. Today, we are releasing this on the day after Thanksgiving, but I thought maybe as an unplugged segment, you might have some questions about the holiday. Do you have any questions for me about the holiday this year?
I think I have asked you a lot of questions over the years about Thanksgiving.
I know.
Let's see if I still have any lingering doubts. So, have you ever been to the Macy's parade?
I have never been. I watched it many times on television. That was, that was a big thing growing up. And, at some point in the morning on Thursday morning, we'll probably, turn the TV on and dial into some parade.
They still do it, right?
They do. It's not like it used to be in the sense when there were just 3 networks and you just turned on, now you have to where's that streaming? Or do I have that service? But it'll be on somewhere. I suspect.
And remind me again, this is not Thanksgiving related, but I keep thinking about that all the time. So the television system, the television networks are very different in the US compared to Italy.
Oh, yeah?
So
you have national channels, right?
We have national channels, and that's it, really. We have national channels, and
it's kind of like that in the old days in the United States. They're privately owned, but because...
So, no. I guess what I'm trying to say is, so you have the regional channels, and there's that word, what if you have a regional channel that also broadcasts, I don't know, CBS?
Oh, I see what you see. The affiliates, they call them the local affiliates. Yes, that is very different, I guess, because it's just such a big country, right? So when it was broadcast over the airwaves, it would be I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and so Detroit was the local affiliate. So there would be ABC, CBS, and NBC, the 3 main networks, and they would the local affiliates would break in at for news. So there would be a local news, a half an hour news program at around 5:30 in the evening, maybe again at 6. And then after the local news, there would be the national news, and that was broadcast from one of the networks ABC or NBC.
Oh, so you do have the national news at specific times of the day.
Yeah, it was all scheduled like that, and there was slots that were for the local affiliates. So there would be a news team in Detroit and New York and Chicago and LA and all basically any decent sized city. Every state had some sort of local affiliate system where it was
right. I guess what's different. I guess what's different from Italy, since Italy is so small, you cannot say in America. If I call my mom and I'm like, hey, put on channel 1.
Right.
Because your channel 1 is not necessarily the same for somebody else.
That's sort of true. I mean, yes, when it comes to over-the-air TV, that's sort of true. At least when
you say over-the-air, you mean with an antenna.
With an antenna, yeah. Literally over-the-air, not cable TV.
Over-the-air. So over-the-air are free, right? Those are free.
Right.
As long as you have an antenna. Right. And it's what? CBS?
Yes, CBS, NBC, and ABC are the 3 main networks.
Okay. And those you can put on anytime during the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they'll have, whatever, the same stuff you'd see on their streaming services in terms of the programming. And then there's always there's PBS, which is public TV. That's semi-government supported, or at least it used to be before Donald Trump. And there were a few other things. You might have a couple of other local channels that were small and would play weird stuff. like horror movies late at night or kids cartoons during the day that didn't really have like the broadcast stuff. Eventually Fox came along and some other ones that were also local, did local broadcasting too. So yeah, it's been like decades since I've watched over the air TV, other than occasionally I do have an antenna sitting in the window of our condo that if I want to, I can use one of those home runs and run it through my network and run it on my TV. But found out I don't really do that very much.
Right.
So I've kind of turned it off for the time being.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what you can do. And to do that, that's how you would watch the Macy's Day Parade in New York City. But I've never been. I am going to run a turkey trot this year. Are you familiar with the turkey trot?
A what?
I'm gonna say I think there's new
a turkey.
A turkey trot.
Trot.
A turkey trot. So this is a run. It is a race.
Run?
It's a race. It's a race
with a turkey.
No, not with a turkey. With other people. With humans. It's a 5K race. They always call them turkey trots.
Because it's on Thanksgiving.
It's Turkey Day. It's on Thanksgiving Day.
Okay.
And I wasn't going to do it this year. I did it last year. I wasn't going to do it this year, but one of my kids wanted to do it. So I signed up. I signed up for the turkey trot. So, you pay your entry fee. You get a T-shirt. You go down there at like 8:30 in the morning, which is probably going to be pretty cold, it looks like, from the forecast. You run your 5K. Then you go home and you eat a lot of food. You feel better about it because you exercise first thing in the morning.
That's nice. Well done.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think everything else we've been over before. I just has this doubt about the Macy's Parade and watching television that I want to double check. Okay.
I don't think it's really all that different than Italy, except that because it's a big country, there are lots of little regional things.
It's the affiliates that get me, but that I find different from us. Okay. No,
do they not have like a different local news for say Milan versus Rome?
It used to be a thing when I was little, like regional channels. But since the switch to digital TV, that's gone. That's gone. So everybody gets the same channels.
Well, that sounds like a lot more like what it would be in the United States.
Yeah. Okay, I have a pick, John, for this week. An old TV show that we started watching, we fell in love with. Have you ever seen The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
I have not, but I've heard of it. I don't know anything about it though.
Oh, it's so good. I think Jennifer will like it. So it's a TV show about comedy, which scratches our itch for hacks, which obviously we loved, and they're shooting season 5. So The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel starts. So we watched season 1, and we now started season 2. Okay. It starts in New York, 1958. So post World War II, just before the 60s. And Miriam, or Midge Maisel, is a rich Jewish housewife who has the seemingly perfect life. 2 kids, a husband that works at a plastic company, lives in the same building as her parents. Seemingly perfect life. But one day, her life unravels when she discovers, after the husband, who had the hobby of doing stand-up, he bombs a stand-up set, totally bombs a stand-up set, and in his post-set, sadness or anger, he confesses to the wife that he's been cheating on her with his secretary, and she starts drinking, and she gets drunk. She goes to the same bar, the Gaslight, where the husband bombed the set. She goes there at 2 a.m., does a stand-up bit, and everybody loves her. And she realizes, so she had been writing jokes for the husband before. Oh. She realizes, I'm actually the funny one. I can be funny. Yeah. And she starts doing stand-up comedy. And she gets a manager who's also the manager of the bar. So Midge is played by Rachel Brosnahan. She was also in the Superman movie. And Susie Meyerson, the manager, is played by Alex Borstein. And in general, I think it's a really nice but also thought-provoking at times TV show, because it touches upon many different themes. Obviously, watching a period piece in New York in the late 50s is interesting. and they've done an excellent job with the costumes, with all the dresses and the set. I think it's really well done from a visual perspective, but it also touches upon the idea of gender equality, for example. Like
Right.
a woman comic, as they used to call them, were very frowned upon, and you get that sexism. All the men saying, no, women are not funny, you belong in the kitchen, like things like that. And Mitch going against that, I think, is really powerful. And obviously there's the idea of there's the race issue. Like, people are just starting then to understand this idea of equal rights, which obviously would take a long time, but you got the seed of that in Mrs. Maisel. The idea of the family dynamics, growing up in a Jewish family, and also what does it mean to separate from your husband and to get a divorce. That is very frowned upon, to the point where they have to keep this a secret for basically the entirety of the first season, because a woman cannot get a divorce. That is a dishonor on the family. Like, and it makes you angry sometimes, right? Watching the TV show makes you angry when the father, Abe, played by Tony Shalhoub, is very much like the father figure, the man of the house, decides everything. Like, it makes you so angry. But there's always like the comedic aspect of it all that obviously helps. And she's very funny. Like, she's actually very, very funny. And watching her develop this career as a female comic in the late 50s, it's a really compelling TV show, and we like it. And it's funny, but it also makes you think. And we are blasting through at least a couple of episodes each night. And those are long episodes, like an hour long episodes. Yes. Yeah. Highly, highly recommended. It's something. Imagine something in between Mad Men, because of the period piece, but also Hacks because of the stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And you got
that sounds interesting. Yeah, that's
really
good.
Interesting. Really, really, really.
Where is it streaming?
Prime Video.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Good. That's good. Very interesting. I will admit to something. I have been picking up some box sets of TV shows since I've been running MacStories deals, because I see all the best deals. I just picked up Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the entire run of seasons, and I want to watch that again over the holidays. I don't have a real pick this week because I was busy last week, but I do have a little bit of a grab bag. The first thing I want to mention, and I've been, to the extent I have been watching TV and doing some other things, I've been mostly either catching up on the Apple TV shows that I've mentioned over the past few weeks that are still ongoing. And then I've been listening to a lot more of the Apple kind of year-end roundup for a lot of their playlists, and discovering some new music that way, which has been really nice as I work during the day. But I wanted to touch on a couple of TV shows, which are The Last Frontier, which is the one, if you remember, about the convicts who land in the plane crash in Alaska and are being hunted down by the U.S. Marshal who's up there. And that show has really turned out to be really good. I mean, it had its points where it was maybe a little uneven in the middle, but there's a really great twist of the plot towards the end that I won't spoil, but I think it's definitely, if you've been watching it, it's definitely one to stick with and see to the end, because that's been really good. I also do want to follow up and mention Loot, because you mentioned when we spoke about it, about how it had maybe jumped the shark a little bit, that it was getting a little ridiculous. And you know what? It just keeps doing it. I watched another episode the other day where they just flew off on the drop of a hat to Korea, and it was a good episode, but it also is become a little bit off the deep end, I think. But I'm still, that said, I'm still kind of enjoying it. I think I'll continue watching it.
Me too.
But I do feel like they're starting to have to be extreme in order to keep the plot going.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And then the last two things I want to mention is the two things I'm looking forward to. One is Stranger Things is dropping during Thanksgiving. I think the day of Thanksgiving or the day after. I forget exactly, but it's coming basically Thanksgiving weekend on Netflix, and it'll drop all at once. And it's a lot. There's hours and hours of it that I'm looking forward to. And hot on the heels of that, Metroid Prime 3, Federico.
Yeah. 4, Metroid Prime 4.
I mean, what am I saying? 3? I have 4 right here in the notes. Yeah, no, that's like we're only like 10 days away from it or something like that. It's very, very close. And that game, Nintendo's released some more footage, and it just looks really, really good. And I'm very curious to see what the reviews say, but that'll be a little bit before we see those. Probably a few days after this comes out.
Yeah.
So, all right, Federico, that's it.
That's it.
Yep, that's it. We are going to be doing our roundups of the best of the year, movies and TV, followed by music and video games in the weeks ahead. And then we'll be taking a little bit of a break over the holidays just to take it easy and recharge a little bit. But in the meantime, you can find us at MacStories.net. Federico is at Viticci on social media. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees. JOHNVOORHWS. Talk to you next week, Federico.
Ciao, John.